Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 7 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also, stay in tune for the brand new episode over Anime King 3 of What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo later on for you guys to enjoy. And also I post a brand new episode over on Anime King of What If Naruto was an elite blue-eye Uchiha, so go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as Naruto was talking to the clan heads, skirmishes were starting up back again. And that only meant one thing, as some small groups were turning into rather large groups. They were being funded by the Fire Daimyo, as war was starting up back again. And Naruto was going to prevent that, as war would lead to too much chaos that no one could really handle right now. So they were going out on a special mission as they were going to eradicate all of the people that were involved in this war. As the group was dismissed after that. As Suwaki wanted to spar with her teacher, she wanted to see how far she has come, as everyone gathered around to watch how the battle will go. The both of them started clash as she was fast, but Naruto was even faster. As he was laid back though, she could tell that he was still holding back on her, as she released some of her deadly abilities, but he simply went through them. As she tried to get her blood into his system, but she was having no effect, she ended up trapping him, only for him to free himself, as he knocked her down to the ground, as she poked him with her blood. She knew that he was the one that let up at the last moment so that she could do this. There he was still, not going all out on her. Well, he never did. We then had a time skip, as Suwaki and her team had went out. They were eradicating all of the groups that were on the borders, while a cleanup team was there eradicating the group as well. As Naruto made his way personally towards the daimyo's palace, there was the youngest son, a man. Well, he was a monk now. He didn't believe in war or anything like that. He had a younger sister. She was going to be the rightful heir after everything was said and done, after the family was ousted. After all, the two elder siblings were addicted to drugs. As Naruto killed the man and made it seem like the man had a heart attack from overstressing himself. So by the time this news broke, everyone would see the negligence that the daimyo and his family had put on their own son. Before Naruto could leave though, he saw the creature that somehow twisted its way into Nagato's mind. As that thing was there when Nagato started with that absurd plan of his, Black Zetsu, as it looked at Naruto. As Naruto gave him a single sign, Black Zetsu knew what that sign meant. As Naruto's father showed him the sign, it was a promise. Black Zetsu hoped that he did not run into Naruto again. So with that, Naruto made his way back towards his country. So yeah guys, so basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across to the playlist and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Naruto stopped in front of the gate of his country. He pulled his right glove off and showed the guards at the gate. The Gato ninja had eyed him carefully, but when Naruto removed the gloves and he saw the sign in his hand, the Chininku clan had created this special ink tattoo for their citizens, as there was a buzzing sound as a seal there scanned the tattoo. When the man looked into the scroll, he instantly fell to his knees, seeing that Naruto was all covered up. He didn't know. "My apologies, Lord Naruto. I didn't recognize you," he said, as the others fell to their knees as well. When BLAK operatives returned from missions, they weren't to pass through the normal gates. They should go through the dark forest and return back to HQ. Though, Naruto didn't see it in himself to be above checking into his country. An imposter might try to pretend to be him, and the guards would have been too flustered to check him. He wasn't in the mood to go to the HQ that night. As he lowered his mask, his hood was still on. As he put on his usual black mask as he clicked it on, he lowered his hood as he ran a hand through his blonde hair. Guys, relax, he said. He noticed the Gato group was made up out of the Hoto members that wore the standard clothing of their clan and not defense corps. They were about 9 in number. They were all wide-eyed and fully awake. You're the defense corps, right? He said. Yes, leader. Why, aren't you wearing a uniform? He said. The leader of the squad answered. Lord Gato had ordered for us to not wear uniform this week. He wouldn't tell us why. Naruto was silent for a moment as his senses stretched out to pinpoint at least 40 defense corps members around the place when there was no more usual than 20. The 9 right here was the main force that citizens could see, while the 20 was to be kept in the shadows. But now it was 40 as he had told. He had told the Gato head to boost security without alarming any of the citizens, as he suspected that Nanako had some of the Hoto clan members wear normal clothing so they could mix in with the civilians, so they could patrol. That's okay then. Thank you for your work, guys. Anything new to report or to ask? Nothing out of the ordinary, sir, the man said. Late night delivery. Fish and porcelain. Lady Amaruku, the clan head, signed for it. Some Kirin ninjas were passing by and wanted to stay the night. We processed them accordingly. By the way, sir, the man said as an afterthought. Naruto nodded for the man to go on. A family came in from the hidden chill. We confirmed that they were refugees. They had difficulties traveling down here. Naruto made a mental note to tell the leader of the Panther clan to set a charge for all refugees, that darkness was peaceful, that any family wishing to move, they should send a message by animal or letter of some sort. As Naruto scanned over the clipboard, on this ordinary night, a late night carriage of Uzumaki's from Konoha came in. They were 6 in number and politely requested for accommodation. They were willing to pay however much to stay for as long as possible. Naruto looked up with a raised eyebrow as the Gato man went on. Don't worry, Leader Naruto. I checked all to make sure no Konoha citizen was hiding amongst them or in the carriage. Then I gave them the booklet on how to proceed and how to acquire housing in the village and how long foreigners were allowed to stay. The booklet was given to those that were visiting Darkness Country for the first time. He wasn't worried about enemies or non-allies getting the booklet, as his defense was quite tight. The Uzumaki family wish to see you as soon as you're free. The father said as soon as he get a hotel in the northern region, he would set an appointment to see you and Lord Rimuru. Some sand ninjas coming from a mission from Fire Country are spending the night. A Uzumaki man left the country to pack some things that he has in Konoha. A river family came into the country to celebrate their daughter's 10th birthday. On that part of the report, Naruto saw that the river family always came back to celebrate their children's birthday or events. As he wondered if his country was becoming a must-be location for his allies, he hummed as he was reminded once again how safe Dark Country was now. And finally you arrived, sir, the man said. Naruto really appreciated how meticulous and straightforward the report was. The next DC guard rotation will be in the next 2 hours. Good, said Naruto, as he gave the man a clipboard back. I've always wondered, what do you people do when no one comes in or goes out? The leader scratched the back of his head. We play cards, share stories, boring stuff. Naruto's eye turned up into a smile as he patted the man on the shoulder. Well, this job can get tedious at some times. Thank you again. It's always an honor protecting our home, sir. As the man bowed, Leader Naruto, would you like me to call a carriage for you? No. I prefer to walk. It's good exercise. But sir, you just returned from a mission, the man said. Well, I barely got a chance to stretch my legs. The man grinned. As expected of Leader Naruto, a mission for him is nothing. Naruto simply chuckled. I don't mean like that, he said. Don't allow me to keep you. Lord Naruto. Have a nice night, the man said, as he gave another bow. You too, said Naruto. Time skip. The next morning, Torun emotionally stared down at his dead older sister when he had felt his connection to his sister violently shook, forcing him to run over the ocean, going straight towards Konoha. He hoped at least someone would be there to hold back the oppressor. All signs pointed to a Konoha ninja being the culprit. There was obvious signs of struggle. Mito had put up a fight, both against a Konoha ninja and the effects the Kyuubi was having on her age. The woman was no way a trained shinobi. Hell, she didn't even held a kunai until she had aided Naruto and his parents escape from darkness. But she did not go down without a fight. The old Kage felt turmoil as the man was angry. A burst of emotion bubbling up inside his stomach threatened to spill out and level the entire Leaf village. He placed a hand on his older sister's face as he closed his eyes, stopping the tears from flowing down. She was in a burial kimono, pink and white, with waterfalls and animals on it. The kimono hid the chunk of flesh missing from her gut, or upper thigh, and her left thigh. The Konoha ninja had taken 5 pints of blood from her, pulled out a molar, and siphoned her chakra as well. The work was done quickly and in a hurry. The autopsy that was done said that in her struggle the person might have injected her with a toxin that reduced her body defense system, so it took away her strength. But the poison had long since disappeared from her system. Only one person had that brand of poison though in the village, Orochimaru. But the Sannin was with the third when the attack went down. When he checked his lab, he found that a vial of silent killer 43456 had been missing from his laboratory. The attacker, when he was done taking what he wanted from Mito, he raised the alarm and then fled. Mito could not recall who had attacked her, and when the doctors tried to save her life, she pushed them away as she called for Kushina. The exchange of a tailed beast lasted 9 hours. Mito died immediately after, some moments before her younger brother arrived. Hiruzen Sarutobi implied that there's a good chance that enemy ninja might have snuck into the village, attacked Mito for some DNA supply for unknown purposes. "I don't want to hear it," said Torun. His voice quiet, but you could hear the rage painting up underneath the surface. Hiruzen behind him closed his mouth as the man was pissed. The 2 Kages were the only one in the morgue, specifically the room that Mito had reserved for herself upon her death. "My brother, Naruto was right," Torun whispered. "My brother, he warned me so many times," the man said as he tried not to break down. "If you can just give me 1 hour to get to the bottom of this, I will be silent." The man spat hatred and wrath in his voice. He bent down and placed his forehead on his sister's before he straightened up and covered her face with a white sheet. "My error was standing on tradition and the belief that Konoha needed only a little amount of time to regain their senses." Torun was hoping that they could have that strong bond and a good allyship between them when the Leaf saw the error of their ways. "This isn't about the Kyuubi breaking free. This is about my Mito being tortured and murdered by one of your own." The man turned as he walked directly towards Hiruzen and stopped right in front of him, his eyes glaring deep within Hiruzen's soul. Hiruzen refused to break eye contact. "I am taking Kushina with me. She will be staying in Dark Country, where she will be safe." Any Uzumaki would say it themselves that darkness was their second home, with the migration of so many Uzumakis from Konoha down into darkness. Yes, the place was becoming populated with Uzumakis over there. "I will be taking Mito's body with me for a proper burial." Hiruzen sighed. "I am sure you're aware what will happen once you take the Kyuubi away from Konoha," he said. Torun eyes hardened. "And I'm sure you're aware what will happen once Konoha poked the wrong country." The stare down between them was electric, charged as the room became tense. The blood contract that Torun made with Hoshirama Senju was that the Leaf could keep the Kyuubi, Uzu, spirit animal as long as they did not use the beast to start any war or to oppress any other nation or village. The contract will hold strong, passing down to the successors of the first 2 that made it. Hiruzen, being Hoshirama's successor, well, not counting a second, but going down in line. It was built on the trust between the cousins of the clans. After all, the Uzumakis and the Senjus were cousins, related by blood. If Torun or any other successor took back the Kyuubi without Konoha consent, then Torun would die a very agonizing death, and his remaining lifespan would be passed on to the first or his successor. The contact would end with his death. His daughter, Tamaki, even though she wasn't a ninja and she didn't have any fighting skills outside of self-defense, she could take the reins of the country. She has spent years in the village, in the office, assisting him with diplomacy and politics. And when it comes to her physical strength, Naruto could vouch for her very well. After all, both Naruto and Torun had watched Tamaki bench press 500 pounds 49 times. There weren't that many Uzumakis that passed physical limitations, but Tamaki was one of them. Torun had his affairs in order. The only downside that, even if Tamaki was a long-time widow, Naruto had refused a marriage between them. If you step out of Konoha with Kushina, you will die. I have not given Uzu permission to take the Kyuubi, and I never will. The third said in his mind, if death is a punishment for not listening to good counsel, then so be it. Find out who killed my sister. He snapped his finger and threw Uzumaki into the room, Jonin's, and picked up the body. Have a nice life, Hiruzen. One day, the Kyuubi will return to Konoha, thought Hiruzen as he watched Torun took his slumbering granddaughter from Snavi as he handed her over to a clanmate. He didn't even bother to look at his grandniece as Snavi stepped away as a man and his entourage made their way to the gates. In a hushed voice, Torun dictate his last two letters as everyone was out watching as the redheads made their way out of the village. The air was saturated with panic that their connection with the Uzumakis were truly gone, despair that they would never build a relationship with them again, anger that they were taking the power of the Kyuubi with them, and resentment towards darkness that they will be the one to get the power, and then wrath. As Torun ignored all these tears and quiet whispers, he addressed his two last letters to his daughter, and also his brother, only left brother. He was gonna do the right thing. Even then, as he glanced over his shoulders to look at the third, he could see the wheels in the man's head turning. He was plotting. Kushina or not, the Kyuubi will return to Konoha. Third vowed to himself, don't think you've won, brat, he said. As Naruto thought that he won just because he has the Kyuubi in his position for now. Soon enough, Konoha will retake the beast. Time skip. Naruto, the leader of Dark Country, declared a 3-day national mourning to grieve the man that was a main catalyst for Darkness Country freedom, and the man who also called him brother. Schools were closed, shops could not be open, ongoing projects were paused. The country was closed to all, even allies. All ninjas out of the country were ordered to come back home. Allies, citizens that were already inside the country could stay, as long as they maintained silence. The only people that were allowed out of their home for extended periods were the key shinobis that guard the borders and the defensive corps. The BLAK were supposed to remain in their respective homes, as deliver boys and girls from the Panta clan had to get special permission so that they could deliver food and drinks from people who had ordered from them. Uzu had lost a leader. Naruto had lost a brother and sister. The country, hidden in the Eddies, also reflect 3 days of silence for their leader. A lot of them were angry, as most of them had wished that Toru never signed that one-sided blood contract with Hoshirama, then the man would still be alive, and Mito would still be alive as well. Uzumaki was immediately instated as the Uzukage. Both leaders kept the cause of Mito's death close secret for the sake of both of their countries. When the mourning period ended, life continued as usual, but there was a slight dim in everyone's eyes as people worked to go back to their normal life, seeing that there was a lot of backup, as the banks and everything was closed for 3 days. But now everything was back. At the moment, Naruto sighed as he rubbed his eyes as he was currently lunching down in his chair. As he looked over reports, document files from Kira, the mist was still on about building a train over the water to connect darkness and mist. As Naruto still did not see the purpose, he grunted as he heard a knock on the door. As Sawaki popped her head in. "Good afternoon, Sensei," she said. "Hey," he answered as he wrote a strong no on the letter to the Mizukage and set it aside. "Weren't you on a mission?" "I just came back," she said. "Welcome," he said as he rubbed his eyes again. Sawaki saw the dark circles under his eyes. "I think here's some rice in the fridge." He was about to stand up. "Let me warm it up for you." She fully entered the room as she was holding something in her hand. "Don't worry," she said. "I stopped by the bakery up the street and bought you your favorite pie." She cleared a space on his desk and placed on the pie. As Naruto sat back down, "Strawberry and peach pie," she said, as he released a sigh of thanks. "You're too kind, Sawaki. Thank you." She took out a fork and placed it down next to the pie as he looked down at the dish. During these past 3 days, he felt like he had aged up 50 years. He didn't feel loss of the news of Torun dying and Mito dying, like when he separated from his childhood friends. He just felt tired. Incredibly tired. The tiredness seeped into his bones and tired his very soul. He hadn't been able to sleep for the past week. Not from nightmares or remembering the good old days with Torun and Mito. Not completely. He was reflecting on whether or not it was worth it, resenting a village that always somehow find a way to take something from him. No matter how strong he got, Konoha always found a way to hit him where it hurt. Sawaki sat down in the armrest of his chair. She lowered her mask, allowing it to drape around her neck. He didn't seem to respond to her action, only looking down. Am I doing anything right, Sawaki? He said, his shoulders lowering. What do you mean, Sensei? She said. I mean, if I had killed Danzo back then, without wasting any time, it would have prevented hundreds of thousands of lives being lost. Yaiko might still been alive. If I had killed Orochimaru and Tsunade when I had the chance, Mito might still be a... Yaiko dying wasn't your fault, she said. He was always out in the field. He could have died at any time. Out of the top 5 Akatsuki members, Yaiko was the most ordinary out of the bunch. He didn't have paper dudes like Konan, no Rinnegan like Nagato. He wasn't an assassin like Naruto, or a vampire like Sawaki. Yet he kept up so much, always being there, as he was the one that they want to lead the organization. As for not killing the son, if you had killed them, we would now have a war at our hands and more life would be lost. She looked down. Remember what you told me? When our parents died, she asked. He looked down, his hands perched on his decks, closed into light fists, as he smiled fondly. What is the point of living when life doesn't want you to live? A 6-year-old Sawaki asked. She was the first one to snap from her daze, after they lost everything in the war. Why won't you allow us to die, Naruto-sensei? She asked. What did I tell you? He said as he turned his head towards her and chuckled slightly. She raised a finger to the sky as she puffed out her chest, imitating a young 7-year-old Naruto. As she smiled brightly, her eyes shining. Everything happened for a reason, Sawaki. When life pushes you down, you kick it in the crotch and throw sand in his eyes. Naruto shook his head. I can't believe I said that, he said. She dropped her hand as she looked towards her teacher, as he was tired. She remembered how much his words had changed her. It was then and there that she promised herself that she would follow him to the end of the earth. She slipped off the wrist of his chair and slipped into his lap. Her eyes enlarging for a moment as she blinked. Was I able to cheer you up, Sensei? He nodded with a smile. What am I going to do without you, Sue? He said. She shrugged and waved. I'm sure you'll get by fine without me, she said. Now, she said, she picked up the pie along with the fork. Open wide. I want to tell you about my mission. The Hidden Mountain. It's super boring, so get ready. As she waggled the pie in front of his face. He removed his mask. She did not flinch at the sight, as she just fed him the pie. As Naruto chewed the pie, as she started telling him about her mission. Time skip. Control yourself, sir. Police officer, immerser, said to the man. Said man was being restrained with handcuffs, his back pressed up against a brick wall. The man groaned. Yeah, I'm sorry, he said. Officer Immerser looked at her partner, Officer Imache, as both of them turned to the man. What is wrong, sir? Is there anything we can do to help? I've just been feeling down from the national mourning. We all have. We can overcome this great loss, like we overcome everything else. Still, public intoxication is not the way to go, said Immerser. This is the middle of the day, and you're awfully close to the children's park. Thankfully, no one got hurt. I'll have to give you a fine. Again, I'm sorry, the man said, as he turned for his handcuffs to be removed. As he had behaved a bit wryly, turning up some tables in a close restaurant, the police officer had to restrain him so he can calm down and realize what he was doing. I'll pay the fine, he said, as he collected the paper and put it in his pocket. As he made his way off, Yashi looked at his female comrade and shrugged. As he watched the man headed off. Come on, we have 1 more hour before we can begin our break. She nodded as she walked behind him with clipped steps. Do you think he got laid off from work? There was even a cotton factory that closed down yesterday. No, I don't think so. The cotton factory only closed down so operations can move to a bigger factory in the southeast, seeing that they were currently south of the capital. The old cotton company is going to be bought by some tech company that Lord Naruto is funding. Immerser hummed. Oh yeah, it was all over this morning newspaper. She smiled brightly. My husband thinks that leader investment is a good idea. You know, Kumo was already in the lead when they made those telephones. Technically, Kumo is richer than darkness, the man said, as he consoled himself, because he believed in time darkness will lead by all aspects. They have more money to blow on their allies with snow. It's only logical that they beat us in creating telephones. Immerser waved to a woman pushing her baby stroller up the road. Do you need any help, ma'am? No thanks, officer, the woman said, with a smile. If you're sure. The woman nodded. As Immerser turned back to her partner. Everyone is so sad, she said. Yes, because Lord Naruto hasn't been himself lately. Lord Torun and Lady Mito, death really affected him. The two officers were both clanless. They applied into the police academy 7 years ago, once they got their chance. Serving and protecting their home in the honor of their leader was a dream a lot of them had. They didn't get to see their leader often, but he made a point to go around and check upon all his people once in a while. There were about 12 police stations around the city, 2 in the capital. Inspector Jim wanted to invite Lord Naruto and throw him a cheer-up party. I personally don't think that's a good idea, she said. He glanced towards her. Why not? Leader Naruto has been through hell already. He must have a way to overcome his depression. You mean Lady Blood or food? Probably. Give him a day and he'll be back to his normal self. I'm sure of it. One of the things they found out about their precious leader was that the man loved eating food. He said eating helped him burn off stress. He ate 4 times his weight and did not gain any weight. How that helped him burn off stress was strange, but it was one of the quirky things about their leader. Changing the subject, he turned towards her. Have you heard anything about that Uzumaki girl that has the Kyuubi? She's staying with Lord Naruto and Lady Blood in the capital. Lady Blood is to register Kushina into the upcoming semester in the Ninja Academy. Next semester should be in 2 months, I think. You have a kid there, right? She said. Yes, I want him to be in the police force, but he wants to be in the DC, where there's more action. The man released a sigh. His only child, a boy of 9 years, were about to enter his second year of the school. Sometimes I don't get why my wife encouraged him. Immerser smiled. I guess I'm lucky that my baby girl wants to be a policewoman. The man sighed at that. Time skip. Kushina nervously turned her head from side to side as she peered into the classrooms. Her eyes glistened as she saw many 13-year-olds writing in their booklets. This was the theoretical aspects of their exam. When they were done, the teacher would lead them to their appointed training grounds and examine them. This was the last class that dark students took before graduation, and only very special cases were allowed to skip a few classes. As some of them turned to look at her at the door, she gushed as she drew more attention to herself. Her hand was held by Sawaki as she was brought down the hallway. Next week is when registration of new students is to commence, Sawaki said as she looked ahead, holding on to Kushina's small hand. But with all the students we expect to enroll, it will be a very busy 2 months, she said. Naruto-sensei didn't want us to cut off anyone in the registration process, so he requests Lord Ginku allow you to registrate for the class. He will administer the exam to you and register you himself. Registration was a very stressful time for the teachers as they had to file each student to test them physically and mentally to see which class they would be best suited to and to test them on various areas, and there were a lot of them. This was a period of time where there were more work for the teacher than normal, but they also get a double pay and 2 weeks of holiday for their extensive job. I want you to be in your best behavior, okay, Kushina? Kushina nodded as she looked through the doors to see teachers in hallways standing, and also some of them going through booklets. Some of them looking quite stressed as they held onto their head, signing documents and papers. Lady Sawaki? Why couldn't Lord Naruto be here, she asked. She might not have the courage to speak in front of him, but she still felt disappointment that he wasn't here to see her off into the exam. Sawaki looked down at her. He had urgent business to attend to. Like what, she said, pouting. Well, for starters, matters of national security. He's still the leader of this country, you know? Yeah, I know, she said, sulking. He might be able to attend the entrance ceremony next year, though. Really? If he's not busy, then sure. I'll take it, said Kushina, as she pumped her fist to her side. They stopped at a red door with a plaque for headmaster on it. Sawaki then looked down. Remember, behave yourself. As Kushina nodded, as Sawaki knocked. 5 seconds later, a voice spoke. Tell them to come in. Sawaki pushed open the door and nudged Kushina inside as she closed the door behind her. Ah, yes, Lady Sawaki. Good afternoon, I hope you're well. Ginku, Susumiki said, his deep voice resonated from his place behind his desk. He stood up graciously and motioned for them to take a seat. I'm doing well, thank you, Lord Ginku. As Sawaki pulled out a seat for Kushina and set herself down on the other as Kushina sat down beside her. Pardon our intrusion. No, 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 I've been expecting you, said Ginkgo. The office was the center of the Ninja Academy. It had every single file of all students that passed through the hall. They were perfectly organized, as there was many filing cabinets. Ginkgo was a man of average height. Black suit he was wearing. He had a pair of sunglasses shading his eyes, thin gray hair that was combed back going down to his shoulders. The man had retired from official duties, as he was the one that molded young minds, but he was still a part of the council, and more than once he had gave helpful tips to the Lord himself. The Susambaki clan was one of the first clan in darkness with the Komori clan. They were the clan of was users. Back in the Civil War, Ginkgo and his childhood friend, Yamako, was always going over intergalactic battles. As Naruto saw the both of them, and the way they treated the younger ones, trying to mold their mind respectively, so he gave them command over the respective schools for the civilian and for the shinobis. So, he says, he looked towards Kushina. This is the little lady Boss Naruto speak about. Kushina bowed her head. Good afternoon, Lord Ginkgo, she said. He was a clan head and the headmaster of a school that she was going to spend the next 5 years into. She needed to make a good impression. But she had to ask, why are you wearing sunglasses inside? Sawaki turned her head towards Kushina. Kushina, Ginkgo grinned. It's fine, he said. She's still a child after all. Curiosity is in their trademark. He took off his glasses. Kushina was surprised to what she saw. His eyes were glassy white, with hexagon shapes forming them, with tiny micro dots. I've got 180 pupils that allow me to see all around me, he said. We wear glasses because people always panic when they see them. He put on his sunglasses once more. Now let us begin your assessment exam. He pulled out a booklet and put it towards her with a pencil and eraser. In an assessment exam, there are no right or wrong answer. The question in there just give us a look on your personality and how quick you absorb information. Telling my staff the best way to teach you. The class that you're put in, the teachers will be made note of you, to what to expect and how to teach you properly. Did you understand what I just said? He asked. You'll be fine, he said. He nodded to a small desk in the room as Sawaki led the girl there to take the text. Time skip. I know that you're angry at Konoha, Naruto. Eventually, following Konoha will hurt you. It will be the downfall of you and your people. Don't let them lead you off of a cliff. Don't let it consume you, brother. I really don't want that to happen. I want you to live longer than I have. Please, as my last wish, I want you to keep Konoha aside and focus on make your country prosperous. You can create countermeasures against Konoha, but leave their destruction to them. They will fall as long as they keep walking on that path. I know that you doubt my advice. My infinite wisdom is why Mito is dead, and my people in Konoha were in danger. Please, trust me, he said. I know you will do the right thing, whether you choose to take my advice or not. I am still proud to call you my brother. Take care of my people, brother. I trust you will. You are a peaceful man even until death, weren't you, Torun? As Naruto folded the letter and placed it back in his pocket, as he ran a hand through his shaggy blonde hair. You're driving me into a wall, brother, he said. At that moment, he was in the Northern Defense Office, near to the Northern Gate. This was one of the HQ for Makoto Gato for the DC. Standing in front of the decks was Shimura Gonzo, standing at attention, as Makoto was there flipping through a thick binder. It was sealed documents, reports from the possessed Konoha Shinobi. After reading the man report and the state of everything on Konoha, Naruto had to admit, the leaf is a goddamn mess, Makoto said, as he scanned the binder. I couldn't have said it better myself, Makoto, said Naruto. What a goddamn mess. If an outsider looked into the leaf without having the, advances that Danzo had, they would see a rich, prosperous country filled with silver and gold and riches, overwhelming strength. The village was wealthy, well connected in military trade, and excellent ninjas themselves. Some of the Konoha citizens thought their village was an impenetrable fortress of power. Yes, the murder of Mito Uzumaki forced some of them to change their perspective, but most of them still believe in that their village was still protected and strong. But that was the outsider point of view. The village was rotten to the core when you look on the inside, with many sections being unfunded. The thing was corrupted, vile, full of people without homes. Children roaming the streets. Crimes littering the place with thugs all over the street in lower districts. The Hokage gave all power to his council, a civilian council who had took the village in their hands, using it as they seen fit, while he dealt with other things that, well, didn't help the village at all. That is why it was in so much mess at the moment. Compared to Naruto country, the council had limited freedom. Any small matters that didn't need Naruto attention, the council took care of it. But they didn't have as much power as the council in Konoha, who was driving the village into the ground. After all, major issues must be passed through Naruto or Sasuke. Yes, they couldn't go through without Naruto or Sasuke signing off. Power and authority in Dark Country was extremely centralized, as Naruto could honestly say that Dark Country was in a better place than Konoha. He shook his head. This is just sad. He thought that his one greatest enemy, Konoha, would at least have their affairs in order. They were the strongest hidden village, for crying out loud. How? How? I'm confused, said Makoto. How is that village not destroyed yet? Like hell if I know, said Naruto. There was a large crime syndicate in the village at the moment. It was from unemployment. The village had the funds to create job openings, as there was many things that were destroyed in the last war. But they didn't use the money towards that. They used it for other means. People were homeless. Children are on the streets. As Naruto had made sure that all of his people had somewhere to sleep, had warm food in their stomach. As he looked over the file, only children that were from wealthy families or clans could send their kids to school. The others were just being kept out of school. No wonder the Uzumaki started to leave to bring their children here so that they could attend school. Ever since Darkness and Uza allied, their alliance with the Sun was in tatters, given the fact that the Sun was buying what they need from Darkness at a much cheaper price. The Sun was buying less and less from Konoha. Really, the only thing that they were getting from Konoha that they couldn't get from Naruto country was tea. And that leaf, tea, was being grown on the sand farm. Harvest time was approaching, Naruto reminded himself. Torun saw this whole thing, Naruto said, bringing the possessed Danzo and Makoto out of his thoughts. He used to have close ties with Konoha, so he knew some things that the leaf people couldn't deny, like how much a bad situation Konoha was in. If I may provide some advice, Lord Naruto, said Makoto, as Naruto motioned for him to go on. I think giving Konoha more than 1% of our time is a waste of resources and time, especially. Border surveillance and spy detection, sure, but this report, things don't look too good for the Leaf. The report wasn't just how bad things were in Konoha, but it was also on the shady deals. Hell, by Danzo Shamura, the old Warhawk was smuggling drugs from Fire Country to Grass and Earth to make some extra cash for fundings of his underground planning. He was kidnapping children from all over the country, and he had plans to expand that kidnapping to have children fight for him, fight in the shadows of the Leaf. He had 4 plans on how to take down Uzu. 1 main plan, a backup plan, and 2 other contingency plans. The man had crimes that he did to Iron, Rain, and Tea, and Tree. What he's still doing in Mountain and Chill, and what he planned to do to Stone and Kumo. Danzo was a very ambitious man. It was too bad that he was more than less dead. I can gather advice from the council, Lord Naruto, but I think I can speak for them when we say that we have better things to do than target a dying village. That may be so, said Naruto. In the binder was root tunnels that were underground. One of them were extremely close to Darkness Country. These tunnels allowed them to carry out their operations in the dark, quick and fast. He turned his head towards his demon smoke clone. You will still be my eyes and ears behind enemy lines. Work with the clan head of the Kurama clan. Both of you will use your discretion on how to deal with Konoha. Go. The crippled man saluted as he marched out of the office. Make a copy of that and give each one to the member of the council, said Naruto. It will be strictly confidential, to be burned when done reading. I'll keep this copy in my vault when you're done with it. Already done, sir. Good. Tell them, we'll have a council meeting this night, said Naruto. They should be done reading by then. Makoto looked at the giant binder as Naruto looked at the man. By this night. The man nodded. Now, your last update said that Stone and Kumo are studying our border. Yes, they haven't made any moves yet, just studying and scouting. Didn't you say they were looking for holes in our defense? That was my assumption, sir. The hidden stone has got nowhere and nothing. What about Kumo, Naruto asked? As far as I know, they didn't get their hands on any of our resources. Do you think they started this because of the hidden stone? It's possible, my lord. They could have also heard from their non-allies that our mission successful rate is near perfect and our village is prospering in Naruto. If I was the Raikage, I would be curious as well to know how a country just after several years is so prosperous after a bloody civil war. I would also want to acquire whatever project they're using to shoot up my ranks as well. And lastly, I will feel threatened. Threatened? Said Makoto. No dark citizens or in Kumo, the stone or spring. So those places were left out in the dark. They didn't know what they were doing. Why would Kumo be threatened by us, sir? He asks. Look at it like this, Naruto. Our name is now popular to be on the lips of our allies and non-allies. We, he emphasized, meaning Naruto and the City of Darkness, haven't advertised ourselves in any over-the-dramatic way. We go on missions and we maintain our allies' relationship. That is as much as they know. Our investment in a sand farm is going along nicely. Our ninjas are bringing back profit after profit and so much more. While inside they must assume that we're growing at an incredible rate. As far as Naruto know, the only other place that had free education and healthcare was Kumo. But housing, unemployment, and crime was still a problem. As long as darkness stays true to its path, we will become something that no nation can compete with. As Naruto pointed to the map on the wall, there will be a monumental shift in the continent. As Makoto understand, I see. The 5 great ninja villages can become the 6 great ninja villages. Or, said Naruto as he held up a finger, one major village would drop down from power and give its place to us. Makoto nodded as he thought about what his leader was actually saying. Everyone still sees Konoha as the main power. Kumo is close, second. The stone is third. Kiri is fourth. And the sand is fifth. And remember, the sand is changing too, so it might make its way up the ranking. So with the sand becoming a more tolerable, hidden village, and darkness rising, Kumo thinks that it might be the one to slide back in shadows, or even drop out completely. Precisely, said Naruto. The stone has the most ninjas and Kiri has the most powerful hunters, so their place on the rank is secured. Kumo is self-conscious because it has no bloodline or strong network outside of their 2 main allies. They have the tech, the money, and the know-how. But sir, wouldn't it be more logical for the Sand to be afraid of the power shift and not Kumo? Yes, it would be more logical, but I'm also taking the fact, the past, and the present Raikage. Ah, of course, said Makoto. The Raikage, see, is notoriously hot-blooded. He sees a competitor about to make their way on the field, and he snapped down on them. Why not attack Uzu then? The man asks. Because Uzu is already a superpowered, but it refused to be ranked. And besides, no sane person would want to anger an entire island of Uzumakis. Now Kumo is looking for a way to steal information from our country, or to destroy it. I'll assume any one of the two. Bring it up in the council meeting. Yes sir, said Makoto. I'll send a letter to the Raikage to leave my borders alone, or we'll send his ninjas back in boxes. He got up and placed on his hat. I'll leave the distribution of the binder to you. You can count on me, sir, said Makoto, as he nodded. Time skip. At Konoha Public Library. Just the other day, the matron of the orphanage said that he was getting too old to stay there, that there were too many mouths to feed, and too little food to feed them, and they didn't have the funds to get the food. He was 7. The matron said that he was old enough to fend for himself. He was going to be 8, but the woman looked at him with a cruel look, as everyone could see the hatred in her eyes when she looked at him. He saw the hate and anger in the people's eyes as well. Every time he passed by them to the library, they would curse after him. He met Jiraiya the Sanin while he was reading up on basic food jutsu, and the man wanted to take him on as apprentice. Why don't you hate me, Lord Jiraiya? Because this time I won't let talent slip by me again, Jiraiya said. The boy didn't know what that meant. Lord Jiraiya, why does everyone hate me? He asked. Jiraiya's shoulders sagged a bit as he looked at the boy directly in the eyes. He placed a firm hand on the boy's shoulder. Your father is a very, very bad man, Minato. Minato's eyes widened in shock that Jiraiya knew who his father was. He did many bad things to this village, said Jiraiya. He has hurt many families with what he has done. They hate me because of my father? You look so much like him, Minato. The people see him within you. Minato's fist curled up into a tight ball as Jiraiya continued. I knew your mother. Bless her soul. We were in the same class in the academy, you see. She was such a nice person. Everyone loved her. I also knew your father when he was a kid, but I never thought he'd grow up to become a revolting monster like that. to kill and to scar hard-working, innocent people. What he did to your mother, the torture that he went through in his filthy hands, no one should ever go through something like that, said Jiraiya. Minato clenched his fist tight. Who is my father, he asked. I'm sorry to be the one to tell this to you, kid. He leaned on and whispered, as the mere name was taboo in the village. Your father is Naruto, the leader of Darkness Country, said Jiraiya. But guys, it'll be in this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of the do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification so you posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way. I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto was an elite blue-eye Uchiha, so go ahead and check out that and enjoy, guys. And I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo, so go ahead and enjoy that, guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, guys. And also, I've posted 2 new series. I want you guys to go ahead and check them out. One over and making 2, well, right here, guys, of What If Naruto was betrayed and lost everything, well, neglected. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And I post a new series over and making 3 of What If Naruto was neglected and had Jashin sealed within him. So go ahead and enjoy it as well, guys. So yeah, for now, I'm out. See you guys over at Making 3 for What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo. Peace.